Australia has just done something that sounds like a straight-up win for locals. It's banned foreign buyers from purchasing established homes all the way through to 2029. If you've ever stood at an auction watching the price climb out of reach, this probably feels like justice. But here's the uncomfortable truth almost nobody wants to say out loud: this ban might not do very much at all. And once you see the numbers, you'll understand why some people think foreign buyers were never really the problem. Let's start with what the ban actually is, because the details matter. Back in February 2025, the government announced that from the 1st of April that year, foreign persons, and that includes temporary residents and foreign-owned companies, would be banned from buying established existing homes in Australia. It was meant to run for 2 years. Then, in the 2026 budget, they extended it all the way to the 30th of June 2029. The single biggest change was aimed at temporary residents. Before this, someone here on a work or student visa could apply to buy one established home to live in. Now, that door is shut. If you're a foreign person, you're pushed toward new builds, off-the-plan apartments, or vacant land you have to develop, not the existing house down the street. There are a couple of narrow exceptions, mostly for big projects that add 20 or more new dwellings. And the government backed it with an audit crackdown on so-called land banking. Plus, the threat of forced sales and heavy fines for anyone who breaks the rules. Now, on the surface, you can see exactly why this is popular. Australia is deep in a housing crisis. Prices have pulled miles away from wages, rents are brutal, and people are desperate for someone to blame. And a wealthy foreign investor outbidding a local family for a home? That's about as clean a villain as politics gets. Banning them is cheap, it's easy, and it sounds tough. The pitch practically writes itself: we're freeing up homes for Australians. But here's where it falls apart. Because when you actually look at how many homes foreign buyers were snapping up, the picture is nothing like the headlines. According to the latest Foreign Investment Review Board figures, offshore buyers committed around $3.7 billion to Australian housing across a year, covering roughly 2,300 homes that needed government approval. That sounds like a lot until you remember that well over 500,000 homes change hands in Australia every single year. 2,500 is a rounding error. And foreign investment hasn't been climbing, it's collapsed. At its peak, back in 2015 and 2016, foreign buyers poured over $72 billion into Australian property. Today, it's a fraction of that. State governments now slap foreign buyers with stamp duty surcharges of 7 to 9%, meaning an overseas buyer can pay 15 to 25% more upfront than a local. The flood everyone pictures? It had already slowed to a trickle before this ban even started. It gets more revealing. The government's own register of foreign ownership lists just over 40,000 residential properties bought by foreign interests across 8 years from 2016 to 2024 that are still in overseas hands. In a country with more than 11 million homes, that's less than half of 1%. And most of those weren't established family homes at all. The majority were brand new builds, the exact kind of housing that only gets built because someone's willing to fund it. Offshore buyers were also concentrated in cheaper, lower value properties, not the million-dollar homes locals are fighting over. And here's the kicker most reports leave out. Foreign investors were already largely banned from buying established homes. Since December 2015, they've been restricted to new dwellings. So this headline-grabbing 2025 ban mostly just closed one remaining gap, the temporary resident exception. It's far more of a tightening than the dramatic new lockout it's been sold as. So, does the ban actually work? Here, the experts are surprisingly blunt. Property economists broadly agree it's unlikely to move prices in any meaningful way, because foreign buyers were never the thing driving them. The real pressures are chronic shortage of homes, tax settings that reward investors, rising construction costs, strong migration. None of those are touched by this. Analysts at firms like PropTrack have pointed out the ban is no silver bullet without policies that actually increase supply. And some go further, warning it could backfire. If foreign money gets pushed into new developments, it can inflate off the plan prices. And bodies like the Real Estate Institute of Australia argue that foreign investment actually helps fund the construction of new homes, that the last time Australia came close to building enough, it had significant foreign capital flowing in. Choke that off, they warn, and you risk building even fewer homes, not more. To be fair, supporters say every home freed up counts, and that it's reasonable to prioritise locals for existing housing. Both things can be true. But almost nobody serious believes this ban is the answer to the crisis. Which brings us to the real reason a ban like this exists. It's the perfect political move. It's cheap. It's popular. It points the finger at outsiders, and crucially, it lets governments look decisive without touching the hard stuff at home. The things that would actually shift the dial, building far more homes, reforming negative gearing and capital gains tax, rethinking how fast we grow, demand those are painful. They upset powerful voters. And they take years. Banning foreigners takes an afternoon and a press release. So the question worth sitting with is this: is locking out foreign buyers until 2029 genuine reform, or a convenient way to look like you're solving a crisis while the real causes go untouched? Tell me what you think in the comments. Were foreign buyers a fair target, or the scapegoat? If you want the honest version of what's actually happening to Australian housing, subscribe, because next we're pulling apart the tax break at the very centre of this whole mess: negative gearing. I'll see you in that one.